Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your most gracious host, Miss Sasha. And with Real Reading Talk, I discuss the real systemic issues at the very core, the very foundation, as to why we have these very high rates of illiteracy and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. Welcome. I thank you all for joining me. Of course, shout out to my newbies. For those of you who have just discovered the podcast, I hope that you enjoy it, gain benefit, and make sure that you share it. And of course, thank you all to my old heads, my OGs who've been rocking with me from way, way, way back. Hey, y'all, I got to share some with y'all, right? Why did I come across episodes of Real Reading Talk that I did back in 2017? I was like, and it's crazy because I was like, man, where were they? And so they were like on SoundCloud. I didn't even, because I was trying to figure out where they were, because at that time I was not uploading them to YouTube. Again, this was back in 2017, because that's when I very first started Real Reading Talk, okay? And I discovered them. I can't remember how it happened, how it occurred, or whatever. I looked up, I was like, I said, wait, what? I'm like 2017, and I had actually interviewed a few people, but these two particular episodes, one, Dr. Mary Payton, shout out to her. She's an author, she's a science whiz, okay? And I had interviewed her as well as another gentleman. Actually, the one brother that I did interview, he was an extremely smart brother too. I think he was like from the Caribbean. But he actually had passed away. It's been literally probably at least about a good 5 years or so now. We were connected on Facebook. But it was a phenomenal, dope interview. I'm hopefully I'll be able to, I don't know how I will be able to upload it to, I'm trying to figure out how to get it uploaded, right? So that you guys can hear that. So that was my back in the day, the foundation of Real Reading Talk. Okay. So I just want to share that with y'all. All right. With this episode, though, I'm going to keep it simple. Okay. And speaking of keeping it simple, that is the acronym that I came up with as it pertains to teaching our children how to read and developing a culture of literacy in our homes. Okay. I had actually wrote an article about this. There is a platform called Substack. Those of you who who are privy to Substack, you already know what it is. For those of you who this is your first time hearing about Substack stuff, that was that. Well, it's a platform where you can actually start your own newsletter. You can also, I believe, you can start like you could have a podcast. You can upload your podcast on there, post links to your websites, all of that. It is really, really cool. And a lot of folks are like really getting into the Substack space. You know what's crazy though? My son Ismail, I gotta shout him out because he's like, he is somebody who is he's a researcher and he be like ahead of the game. Why when I look, I'm sitting up here looking on Substack and I see that he had started a newsletter on there literally probably about 3 years ago. Because I remember when he had started this newsletter, he was, because he tries like different things and stuff. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna try this, and so he was trying this thing where he was like letting people know about what was going on in Cleveland. And I'm looking on Substack, I was like, that's where my son created his newsletter. I didn't even realize that. So just another story. But yeah. But anywho, I have my newsletter that I started on there. And of course, it's called Reading is Freedom. Okay. Yes, reading is freedom. And I wrote an article talking about how we can't get caught up in all the different reading programs that are coming at us because a lot of times, folks, we'll get caught up, we'll hear about the new reading program, this new fad, this new thing that you got to go and buy, so that your child can become this great reader or they can learn how to read or all of these different things. And it's like, all of this stuff is just continuously coming at us. It's like information overload, and you start figuring out, like, man, what should I choose? Okay, where should I go? Right. And so I talked about that in the newsletter. I said, you know what? Let me talk about it on my podcast. Okay. So again, keep it simple. KISS. Mwah. Okay. That's what we should be doing when it comes to helping our children develop those foundational skills in reading, because that's what a lot of our babies, they are missing, those who need that help when they are coming to me for my tutoring services, when they're in like those upper grades. Like I mentioned before, I had a student who was a freshman in high school that I was helping with his reading because he did not have a lot of those foundational skills. But if we remember to keep it simple, KISS, right? That's the acronym, right? The K is for keep, the I is for it, and the S is for simple. That's it. Then that's where you will see the success lie. Okay, keeping it simple. Also, making sure that we are persistent. Okay, making sure that we're dedicated, making sure that we do not give up, because it can get hard, it can get tiresome, all of those things, and making sure that we are consistent. Okay, so remember, that's the key. Just like I think about with me with things like doing my podcast, right? Anything that you are doing consistently and you're making sure that you are committed to, that's when you're going to see the results. And that's what we have to focus on. If we want our children to develop a love for reading, we want them to have those foundational skills in reading. We want them to, anytime it comes to anything that they have to read, I don't care what it is, they're at least able to apply those foundational skills. And if there's something that they are struggling with, they know how to ask for that particular help in that area, because they already got the foundational skills. Now they just need some guidance in whatever it is they need that extra help in. And so again, keep it simple. That's what it is. But guess what? I know you're wondering, well, how do I keep it simple? What does that even look like, right? And that's what I'm about to share with you. Okay. So let me go to my notes real quick so I can pull up for you guys what that means, right? So I got 5 ways that we can keep it simple. Okay. 5 ways. And these are ways that I've talked about before. These are tried and true, simple ways. These are things that you guys already know, especially my folks who are really deep in the literacy space. You guys have helped children learn how to read, your own children learn how to read. You already know these things, right? So, but I'm talking to those who are literally like, I don't know what to do. I just purchased a $200, $300 reading program, and I'm trying to figure it out. And my baby still is not reading like they should be reading. Okay. So let me help you out. Number 1, reading aloud. Come on. Now, y'all been rocking with me. Y'all already know I talk about reading aloud. In fact, that is where I started at. That's where I started this whole literacy space, this whole, uh, podcasting, the organization ABC Read that I started back in 2012, the the reading merch, okay, all the things, all right, that I talk about, my foundation when it comes to literacy. I started with reading aloud. I talk about how I enjoyed reading aloud to my own children and would do that, look forward to that. And that right there is one of the most single ways in which we can help develop a strong reader in our children. They will become strong readers because they are hearing those words, they are hearing those stories, they are hearing how they're being pronounced, all of those words. They are hearing the expression, the fluency. The grammar is going to get caught. It makes me think about when I was reading the book, The Read Aloud Handbook by Jim Trelease, and he talked about that. He has a section in there talking about grammar is actually more caught than taught. Okay, meaning, our children understanding how to structure sentences, how we make when we're talking and we have pauses, when you're writing something, you understand, okay, if I have a pause there, then that's where a comma would go. All right, inflections, you understand, oh, okay, a question mark will go there. All of these different things are happening when our children are hearing the words that are spoken from those different books that we are reading. Okay, so making sure that you read aloud. If you cannot physically read a book, meaning get a physical copy of a book, opening it up, and you guys curled up next to each other, and you guys are getting ready to have a bedtime story, if you know that that's not a good time for you, then I would advise going to YouTube. Of course, you know I'm gonna say go to Reading is Freedom. Go to my YouTube channel because I got a whole bunch of stories on there, okay, that your child can listen to before they go to bed. Or it don't have to be a bedtime. It could be a breakfast time story. Shout out to Sharia Schultz, who talked about that. She said that was the ideal time for her and her babies reading at breakfast. It could be you putting on a story when you're taking your children to school, or if you guys are driving to the store, coming back from somewhere. These are things that I've done. Okay, so I'm not telling you stuff that I have not done myself. My children knew about Storyline Online. Okay, that was the go-to YouTube channel, Storyline Online. All right, they got their favorite books now that they talk about that they used to listen to on that channel. Or back in the day, when you go to the library and you get those books on, and they had the CDs, so you can the books on audio, and then I get the CDs to them, pop them right on in, and we'll be listening to that. Okay, so yeah, reading aloud. All right, that right there, I'm telling y'all you will see a difference. Okay. Also, the next one is having conversations with your children, simply talking to them, not doing what is that called, an interrogation. So what you do in school? What y'all learn? How did you act? What? Don't do that. That's not having a conversation. That's called an interrogation, and that's when they start to shut down. Oh, it was good. It was all right. Nothing. What you learned? Nothing. It was cool. Yeah. No, you're not going to get anything out of them. The conversations do not even have to be right after they get out of school. Let me share something with you all. Do you know my children actually had said that? A couple of my children were like, "Mommy, I don't be feeling when you start asking me how was school when I get out of school." I was like, "Oh, okay." And that made me. I was just like, ah. And then I said, you know what? I said, look at that empowerment. Look at my babies speaking up for themselves. Like, yeah, I don't really feel that, because they didn't really feel like talking about no school. They're like, I'm out of there. I don't want to start having a conversation about what we learned and what happened and, how did you feel and all of that type of stuff. So the conversation, just let it be organic. It could be something simple like you may have started off with, hey, y'all, check this out, right? So I was listening to this podcast earlier and they said, dot, 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 dot. What's your thoughts on that? Bam, conversation. Or, it could be something where you could be talking about, maybe there was something that you were watching or something you were reading, and you can tell your kids, man, this reminded me of, I remember when we went out of town and we did conversation. They're like, oh, for real? Okay. That's having conversations with your children. All of those is building their literacy skills. Now they're doing what? Now it's helping them to be able to have conversations, talk about different things, being able to work on their what is the skill, being able to just articulate. I don't know why I'm losing my words right now. Being able to articulate what is on their minds. Okay, because that's something a lot of times that our young children have problems with. A lot of times they don't know how to say what it is that they need to say or that they want to say. So that's why sometimes they may give one word answers. But if we are constantly having conversations, we're talking and just letting them just organically just be able to speak, it's going to build not only those skills, those speaking skills, right? The public speaking skills is actually going to help them build their confidence as well. All right. All of this is related to literacy. All right. Next, library trips. And I've talked about this plenty of times. Library trips. Now you may not have to go every week, but I would definitely say at least try to get in there once a month. And the reason why I say maybe not every week is because when you go to the library, you could take out books. You don't have to return the books back that next week. I think they allow you to keep them for at least about a good 2 weeks, maybe even 3. So maybe you can wait until the next cycle until the books have to be returned, then you guys go back to the library. But definitely, I said at least once a month. Every other week would be great. That would be ideal. And I would definitely say when you're doing those library trips that you go in there with your child. Okay. Don't just send them in there. You go in there too. All right. Now I know when they get like a little older, like especially like about 12, 13, 14, they may want to go in there by themselves. That's fine. Okay. But just make sure that you are making it clear that I want you to walk out of there with some books. So that means if you're doing library trips, that means you should have what? You guessed it, a library card. All right. All of our children should have their own library cards. Period. You can get them. I think you think can't you get them? I won't say it when they babies. I believe. I mean, library card is simple as you putting in your basic information. And here it is. They have a card assigned to them. All right. Their very own card. And then, they get to put that. I remember my kids when they were like, because I think probably when they were like 5 or whatever, they had first got theirs, 5 or 6. And then they get to write their own name on the back. It's like, okay, if they have a sense of autonomy, right? They feel like, okay, this is mine. Oh, I get to go choose a book that I want. All right. Again, what are you doing? You are putting in their subconscious that reading is important, that reading is pleasurable, that reading is something that we highly value in our families. Okay. The next one, play sound games. Now, this is something good, especially too when you are, again, trying to teach your child about having those foundational skills in reading. So, for example, you can do the I Spy. I spy something that in the room that starts with b, b. I spy something that starts with k, k, right? They're like, oh, coat, right? Excellent. Book, right? So now what are you doing? You're getting them to pay attention to the sounds that are in those words, which, by the way, once again, I talk about that's a foundational skill that a lot of our youth struggle with in their later years when they are coming to me when they need tutoring. I'm talking about 3rd and 4th grade, and they don't know all the sounds of the letters of the alphabet, or they're not familiar with how the vowel sounds. They make more than just one sound, which is saying it's a letter name, right? These are things that they should have learned when they were in the younger grades. I mean, right now, please, like in kindergarten, okay? As we see as our kids, more and more, the expectation of what they should know is expected even younger and younger now. All right, the things that we could say like, oh, we didn't learn this until 2nd and 3rd. Now they're expecting to know it in kindergarten, 1st grade. Okay. So, but remember, we have the power. We as the parents, the caregivers, we have the power. We should not be handing that over to somebody else. All right. That's one of our biggest mistakes. We have to stop doing it. We have to take ownership. And then the last one, make sure you read in front of them. Okay. Make sure that you read in front of your children because you have to model for them that reading is important. Reading is so important that I'm doing it too. I'm not over here pointing the finger and going like this. You better read. Get off that phone. What's wrong with you on that ticket talking that? You start sounding like that, right? The old fogey. You sitting up here telling them what they shouldn't be doing or whatever. But, nowadays, for real, it's us as parents. They see us scrolling too. Okay? Because remember, we are privy to this stuff as well. We're the ones who we're exposed to the tickety talks and the IGs and the Facebook and all of that. And so all of us are being infected in a negative way. So we have to make sure that we are setting an example. Being like, you know what? I have this book that I need to make sure that I'm reading, and I need my kids to see me reading. Okay. All right. So again, recap, read aloud, Number one, have conversations. Number two, library trips. Number three, play sound games. Okay, alphabet game, I Spy, whatever. And last one, make sure you read in front of them. Period. All of these things that I said, they don't cost anything. So it's not about, again, if you want to get the $200 program or the 59.99 program or whatever the case, because your friend told you about it, your neighbor, your mom told you about it, whoever told you, that's fine. But just remember, whatever you use, number one, you have to make sure that you're being consistent with it. Okay, I don't care what it is. You still got to be consistent. Don't buy it and then you're using it for a little bit and then say, I'm not seeing results. You have to be consistent with it. And then you have to also remember, too, every child is different. Okay, what may work for one child may not work for the other. But what's tried and true is keeping it simple. We're doing the things that I already mentioned because all of these things is where our children see us being intentional. Also, it's actually strengthening the bond between us and our children as well. Okay, it's making that bond a lot stronger when we're having the conversations, the read alouds, okay, playing the different games, the library trips. Notice all of these things. That means that we, as the parents, have to be intentional about taking the time to spend that time with them, to show them that, yes, I value you. I want you to be the best that you can be. And I understand that in order for you to do that, you do have to be a strong reader because reading that is going to permeate in every aspect of our lives. Comprehension, public speaking skills, writing skills, okay? All of these things that encompasses reading, that encompasses literacy. And that's why it's that important. So again, remember, KIS, mwah, keep it simple. All right, y'all, that's it. I thank you all again for listening to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your most gracious host, Ms. Sasha. Remember, the Real Reading Talk, I discuss the real systemic issues at the very core, the very foundation as to why we have high levels of illiteracy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. Thank you for listening. And remember, reading is freedom. Peace. All right, everybody, I hope that you all gained a lot of gems from that particular episode. Short, sweet, straight to the point. Now, housekeeping real quick. Yes, I am a pre-K to fourth grade reading tutor. The name of my reading tutoring business is ABC Learn Tutoring. Please go to my website, abclearntutoring.com, to sign your baby up for a free reading assessment today. And also, I'm the founder and executive director of ABC Read, and ABC Read is the nonprofit organization that I started over 10 years ago. And we have given 8,500 books and counting and reading programs. In fact, we have one coming up this Saturday. That's right, 4 weeks in a row, our free fall reading camp. All right, intergenerational. We want our babies, we want our elders to be there as well. Please go to abcread.org. Also, you can find on our flyers that I do post where you can sign your child up. And of course, those who are local, right? I'm talking about my Cleveland folk. I'm sorry, y'all. You got to be up in here in Cleveland to experience that, okay? All right. And I also started the merch brand, right? Reading is freedom, okay? Just like I'm rocking the shirt right now, all right? Go to readingisfreedomshop.com to grab your shirt. Get your hoodie. You know this is hoodie and sweatshirt season. You know it is, and you want to look fly, and you have a fly message of promoting reading as well, okay? Also, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. Make sure that you hit the notification bell, all right, so you can be alerted to when I have podcasts, and also I do the live stream read-alouds on Sundays, y'all. That's right, 7:30. This past one was popping, all right? So y'all got to be there, and we do a Kahoot game afterwards. Come on now, y'all know I'm dedicated to empowering our communities through literacy, all right? Doing all that? Come on, y'all. And your girl is an author, okay? Co-author of the book, Her, Healed, Empowered, Resilient. All right. Yes, indeed. Make sure that you grab your copy from Amazon. Or for those of you, if you're local, you guys can get it from me as well. You can just buy it from me directly, okay? And just cut out the Amazon middleman, okay? Get it from your girl directly. You could do that too, okay? And if you're not from Cleveland, I can mail it to you, all right? All you got to do is send me an email, info@abcread.org, all right? Send your information and I will get it shipped to you ASAP. And the book that I just started reading, let me pump this brother. I need to have my own book up here too. That's okay. Y'all don't see a picture of it at the end. This is the book I just started reading, Successful Failure, Lessons Learned Flat on My Face. That brother, Kevin Fredericks. He's the brother, AKA Kev on stage. All right. So you guys, this book right here, I've been reading it so far, and it's like an easy read. Him just going through different things in his life where, again, he had these failures, right? But like he talks about, he is glad that he had to go through these different things because it actually taught him work ethic to keep going, and it led him to the success that he is enjoying today with him and his beautiful family, wife and children and everybody, all right? So yeah, so I would recommend check it out. I'm still reading, I'm still in the beginning, all right? So that's it. That was a long outro, but hey, whatever. My son would be like, Mommy, your outros be too dang on long. I'm like, look, I should be trying to still talk a little bit, okay? All right, y'all know what it is. So with that being said, thank you all again for listening. I hope that you all make sure that you are subscribing. Make sure that you give reviews as well. Put reviews on the Apple side too, and on the Spotify as well. I appreciate that tremendously. Okay? All right. So thank you all. My name is Miss Sasha, and this has been another episode of Real Reading Talk. Make sure that you please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. And remember, reading is freedom. Peace.